Hey, hi guys, good day. Do you wish that you could see the future and prepare for it? I mean, I know a lot of people wish they could know what's coming because if you can't see the future, any direction or any road or any way could get you there, right? Yeah, because you can't really see it. I mean, a lot of people wish they can see it. So, how can we see the future and prepare for what's coming? I know a lot of people in politics wish they could see the future. As a matter of fact, some of them try to predict the future. They tell you what's coming, right? They tell you what's coming. So as far as they can see, they can tell you what's the future, what's coming, and how to prepare for it. And then we see a lot of the opposite to what they're wishing or what they're promising happening. Um, so we see a lot of people. We see a lot of scientists also. We see the the weatherman, the forecast predict the future. They, as far as they can, when they see the trend of the weather patterns, they can predict the future. They can tell you the future. A lot of our youths are looking on. A lot of our citizens are looking on at these patterns where people are promising a future but getting a different result, and they wish they could see the future, but they don't know anybody who can see the future and prepare for it. Most people that promise them the future, they seem to have different words and names for them, like liars, you know, con artists, con men, tricksters, schemers, scammers, all these different names of people trying to predict the future or they can see the future. Um, some business opportunities come with predictions of the future, and people give their money, um, give their hard-earned cash to get a future that they can see possible, and then they get a different result from what was given to them. In fact, they get the opposite result. So as far as they're concerned, these people lied. They scammed me. They tricked me. You know, even pastors and ministers who represent Jesus Christ the King promises people a future that they can see. Now, I'm not talking about the future that Jesus promised, the future after the in the new millennium, but future in terms of next few months or next few years and that sort of thing. Future of our lives. We have husbands and wives promising promising each other a future of happy living happily ever after, right? Uh, we have a lot of people promising the future. Can predict, and of course there are different teachers and coaches and counselors who, based upon their experience, they can give you an idea of the future. And who knows, sometimes it actually work out. Sometimes you get the result or close to the result, that you were promised, that you're looking forward to. And that's a big thing. But so we want to talk today about visionary leadership. What does it take to be a leader who can see the future, who have a vision for the future, and then can take people to that future? So it's not a matter of just seeing the future, but taking people to the future. A lot of our youths are disillusioned because many people have promised them a future. Parents have promised them a future. Guardians and uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters and neighbors and leaders, political leaders, national leaders, people, educators. Study hard and you get good grades, you'll get a good job. Promising a future. Yeah, a lot of people have promised our youths a future, and our youths, after a while, they're picking up on, okay, something is wrong with what I'm being promised here, because I tried, I believed them, I did what they told me to do, but I'm getting a different result. And we have a lot of that happening, where where a lot of our people, a lot of our youths are promised a future that somebody else is seeing and they can try to influence us to see that future. And a lot of times we believe the future that they're promising us. They use words to craft words and design statements and proclaim, make declarations, make proclamations, to pronounce a future that you'll have, abundant future, wealthy future, happy future, blessed future, you know. And a lot of times we feel let down when the future doesn't come as people predict, as they told us. We feel disappointed, we feel let down, we feel taken advantage of, we feel deceived, we feel trapped, we feel tricked. We feel like fools. This person fooled me. This person, I did what they told me to do, and look at what's happening. The opposite is happening. Worse than what was before is happening. I lost all my money, or I lost my house, or I lost my marriage, or I lost my health. I lost my reputation. So many things people lose because they were promised a future by somebody who had a vision for the future but couldn't deliver on the promise of the future. We have a lot of that happening. As kingdom citizens, and of those who are maybe called to help with the future of the next generation, we have to be so careful of the future that we promise people to prepare for, because we could be preparing people for a future that never comes, or a future that ends up in destruction, that ends up in the opposite direction, and it just makes things worse. The gang leaders feed on this because they are promising a future with our youths, and they are providing the future, but the future is destructive. But the youths realize, wait a minute, they're seeing their friends getting that destructive future and being part of it and getting the immediate result of that future. Some of the immediate future results um, are things like payment for crime, payment for support, payment for partnership, you know, and not just the gang leaders. Politicians do it too. A lot of our leaders do it too. Promise immediate gratification, and you get it. People build their houses out of promises. They drive big cars because of promises. So some people deliver the future that is destructive, that is negative, right? That is not helpful. So it seems as if the people who promise um, good by doing right, it seems as if they don't follow through with their promises. And what it happens, as this adds up, there is this image that, wait a minute, the people who are good seem not to be able to achieve the future that they promised. The people who do good, the people who are helpful and really trying to help others, and their promise of the future is from doing good, it seems as if there is this underlying expectation that that person, if they're promising a future that is good, but the way in which they're going to go about achieving a future is by helping people, by doing what is good, by keeping a righteous standard, it seems to a lot of people in the public that doesn't work out. But it seems as if the people who are promising a good result, or a nice prosperous result, but the methods they're using are unlawful, immoral, right? Criminal, you know, deceptive. It seems as if there's a pattern of success. Like they always get their result. It's like, what is happening here? But what people don't realize is the how temporary it is. Because you see, even though that looks so in the natural, for a time being, it's not necessarily permanent. It's not gonna last. But more than that, what about the people who can't see the future, who don't know what to predict, who don't know what to proclaim, who don't know what to promise, right? There's a statement that one of the wisest men who ever lived, Solomon, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he who keeps the law, happy is he, you know? So there are people who has no vision for the future. And because they have no vision for the future, their lives perish, right? I like another version of it that's really, really nice. There's this version that says, where there's no revelation, the people cast off restraint, which is closer to the original statement. But happy is he who keeps the law. All right. But let's dive into this a little and see. There are people who promise future and they get it. Some people promise future and we don't get a result. Some people promise and plan for the future and get results. Some people promise and plan for the future, they get no result. So, but a lot of times, people who get the results seem to be doing destructive things or deceptive things to get the results they get. And people end up getting immediate gratification. So what happens is that people can expect once you're doing underhand secret things, yes, you're gonna get a result. So they could trust you to get that immediate result. Right? So is that the only way people could get results? By doing harm, by doing things that are underhand or deceptive? Is that the only way? Well, let's read what this guy is saying because that looks as if it's right. That looks like if it's a successful pattern. And people want to feel afraid, timid, uncertain, and and fearful of the doubtful of the future because they have made a stand. They're not going to do anything deceptive or unrighteous or destructive. So they can't predict, they can't promise a future. But can we? Can you promise a future that is good, that is helpful, that is beneficial, but able to deliver on that future by doing right, by doing what is right? Is that possible? Well, let's check. Let's go further into this. Now, the the bottom line of this is this sight thing, this this mental imagination that somebody has an idea, a dream of the future, something that is revealed to them, something that they can see working out, this vision thing, right? But if there is none of that, people do anything. Remember, I said, if you have, if you can't see the future, any road will get you there. In other words, you'll just do anything you want, and you'll end up in the future, but a future that's unpredictable, a future that maybe you don't want, a future where anything goes, right? Because perish here has to do with cast off restraint, unrestrained. You haven't set any controls in place. You just neglect everything. Just do anything you want. Just leave it to bear, you know. You just refuse to put order or to be diligent or put things in place. You just allow things to just go anyhow. You dismiss all knowledge, all reason. Kind of like if you're a Trinbagonian, when people go to a wild party or a carnival setting, you uncover everything, you open everything bare. You have no plan or structure, you know, and everything is like naked. You're open, you're naked, you are available to the elements or to circumstances. Whatever circumstances happen, that's okay. And a lot of people live like that. No, they say they live like that because in that way you have no stress, no pressure. Whatever happens, happens. you know, then people live like that. Whatever happens, happens. And whatever they end up, they end up. And I've seen one or two people who live like that and they're happy, they seem like if they're enjoying life. They seem like if life is okay and cool, like all right. And it's such a deceptive thing, but it's a temporary thing. And that's the problem, a lot of people not aware of it. Because it is a promise that God revealed to the wisest man that lifestyle, the way to live like that, living that way, that is the setup for disaster. Because the whole idea of happiness or blessedness that can be temporary, or is temporary, only comes because the person is receiving immediate gratification, not long-term satisfaction. Right? You ever heard of the hangover? People enjoy the party and then get a hangover. So, but in the midst of getting fun or enjoying fun, um, there's the feeling, the desires are hyped. You are enjoying it. There's no thought of the hangover. You just allow anything to happen. But he's saying here, this is a long-term benefit here, that the person who keeps or who looks after, to take heed, or who uh, reserve themselves or sure or watchful as to what they do. They guard it, they protect, they pay attention to what is happening here in their circumstances, in their lives daily. They don't just leave everything open. They are very diligent, very prudent, they're very protective of their time, their space, their abilities, their their information, what they get themselves into. That person who keeps specific kind of instructions, look for teachings, guidance, instructions that are beneficial, standards that are beneficial. There is something for that person. That person is the long-term happy person. That person is the long-term blessed person. That person gets the long-term benefit, not just immediate gratification. So this person is willing to sacrifice something for a benefit down the road. So there's a difference here. You can and have fun now, immediate, but pay the price down the road. Politicians who are caught in some kind of scandal, and we hear about it years after, right? And sometimes not only politicians but businessmen, they're business people who are caught in scandal years after, or they are family members who are caught in criminal activities or unrighteous activities or addictions years after we hear about this. But while we're enjoying it at the time, the thought of being caught or the thought of this being harmful doesn't cross our minds, because we just go for it, because at the time you're having fun. Yeah. I remember it was it in school, boy, where we just having fun playing, because we love to play. And while people preparing for test and thing, we wanna play, wanna have fun, right? And the people who were preparing, when we start having something called heads and tails, licks for us because we can't remember the work, you know, because at the time we were having fun, right? And nobody, everybody thought, well, hey, these guys ready. These guys have prepared themselves for the future. But when the next test comes, you lost because you didn't follow the instructions of the teacher. You do whatever you want. Cross off the streets. You left yourself on guard. You let anything happen. Wildness. It's not really law in terms of you're just following like the Old Testament laws, but you're looking for instructions, guidance, how to prepare for the future. How do I prepare for what's coming? Can I see something? Can I imagine something? And that what I'm imagining is beneficial, but the way to get it, or the way to get there, is I have to be watchful, I have to pay attention, I have to be very circumspect, I have to control myself, you know, I can be all over the place, anything, anyhow, right? I have to be very prudent, very dis, they've use discretion, you know, to be careful as to how much time do I spend doing involved in different things. So very, very valuable, you know. A lot of people don't do it. A lot of people don't do it. As a matter of fact, there are people who come and even tell us, why don't you all do this, or why don't you all do this? There's a lot of warnings going on. Even with drug abuse and stuff, even with crime, there are a lot of warnings going on. Even with people who are unfaithful in marriages, there are a lot of warnings. Even people who are abusive, there are a lot of warnings going on before. But people reject the warnings, the instructions, the caution. That remind me of another passage where one of the prophets, God was talking to one of the prophets. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have what? Rejected knowledge, I also have rejected you. Right? I also reject you from being my priest for me. Because you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. So imagine that your children. So because we cast off restraint and reject the information that's supposed to take us to the future safely, right? And give us this blessed life down the road. Not only we are affected, our children are affected. So you see people, sometimes you see some people who are in their 70s working hard and want to know what this person was doing when they were young. Why this person working so hard at this age? Or you see some children struggling, growing up with parents and thing, and struggling, and you want to know, to try to make ends meet, just to try to get a job, just to try to work to feed their children. And you want to know, what did their parents do? How did their parents prepare for the future? And these things are so crucial, you know. And there are some people who their parents try to prepare, but what they did, they tried to prepare using schemes, using scams, using deceptions. As a matter of fact, these days, deception is at a height where it's very difficult to predict or to understand what is real and what is fake, because AI is showing us where we could make things look real. We can make our writings look real as an author. We can make our videos look real as a as a film professional. I mean, real thing. I mean, and we don't realize, hey, this is dangerous, because it's going to the place where we can actually use deceptive means of getting things, right? And therefore we lose out down the road because we haven't had the correct knowledge. So I don't know, how do we see the future? How can we see the future and prepare for it properly, right? The future that's coming, and prepare for what's coming. Now we have to know what is coming in the future. We see a lot of on the news what's happening with AI. We see what's happening with governments in Africa, governments in the US, governments in Europe. We see what's happening with the currency, the US currency. We see what's happening with BRICS being formed. This is the landscape of the present that's going to the future. As a matter of fact, the book that I'm trying to write over, which I wrote some years ago, I'm trying to write it over or add it to my new book, is escape job hunting, how to prepare youths for the future world of work. And it's something I started doing like about approximately 10 years ago, because one of the things I used to do is help with career coaching, helping youths get jobs and so forth. But I'm using kingdom principles, I'm using the principles God put in place to see what's happening in the future and prepare them for the future. A lot of them do like the instructions. Some of them did, and they're enjoying life now, married, have their family, and enjoying life now because they took advice, they followed it, they took the knowledge, right? That's the thing. The knowledge did not was there, so they took the knowledge, and they did not reject the knowledge. So therefore, they weren't destroyed. A lot of them were destroyed because they rejected and despised the instructions that were given. Right? That is so important to be aware of what instructions are you despising or you rejecting. Right? What instructions are you determined to follow? So important to be aware of that. Okay. They took the knowledge, right? That's the thing. The knowledge did not was there, so they took the knowledge, and they did not reject the knowledge. So therefore, they weren't destroyed. A lot of them were destroyed because they rejected and despised the instructions that were given. Right? That is so important to be aware of what instructions are you despising or you rejecting. Right? What instructions are you determined to follow? So important to be aware of that. Okay. So in order to prepare for the future, we need to get wisdom, we need to get understanding, we need to get knowledge. Right? There's this verse that says in Proverbs 7:4, you know, to say to wisdom, watch now, you are my sister. It means have a personal, intimate relationship with wisdom. I want to know what to do about this. And call understanding is like your nearest family. So it's like, when somebody asks, next of kin, when somebody dies, next of kin, is that understanding is like a next of kin. You're calling them close. So you want to know, you want to know and understand. How do I prepare for what's coming? All this chaos taking place in Israel. You see what's happening with Israel, with the temple being created and all these different things they're trying to do. We see what's happening with the war between Israel and Iran, right? And what of course was started with Hamas and with Palestine. We saw the war with Ukraine and Russia. Okay, we're observing this. We see US getting involved. We see what's happening in Africa and the leaders rising up even more. I mean, there's so many coups in Africa. We can't count them. There's so much. It's like every year and sometimes several times a year, you have coups in different countries in Africa, different nations in Africa, right? But you see some permanent changes taking place in Africa now, where completely new regimes take over and lasting and really moving the people up. So you're observing these things, you see the adjustment taking place with the most powerful currency on the planet, the US dollar, right? Where the US dollar, which has been used by so many countries are now rejecting it and using their own currency, or they're creating new partnerships like BRICS and going to the place of creating new currency to trade in. That's a big change taking place. We see where AI can take people's jobs, or you have to prepare for the future jobs, because there are many jobs to be created, many jobs that are to be created in the future that has not been created yet. But how do you prepare for it? We have to be able to learn what to do now. We have to get the knowledge. We got to get the right knowledge. Not all knowledge is right. We got to get the right knowledge. You got to get the knowledge of a desired future. What do you desire as a leader in the future? What is it you desire? What kind of life you want to live? As a kingdom visionary leader of the kingdom of God, what is God revealing to you that is a desired future that you should prepare for? And how do you get there? You have to go through you have to understand what do you have available to you to make you get there. Besides all the different things that are taking place in the physical realm, because we're living in a spiritual kingdom, what resources do we have in the spiritual kingdom of God to prepare for the future? Understand how those systems work. How does the kingdom of God work in a time like this? What systems and operations are available now? Documenting it, learning about it. And okay, let me apply some things now. Let me start now. Because wisdom is applying this knowledge, applying this understanding. Let me get moving. Let me start working on something now. Right? Presently, I'm doing some studies in AI, but I'm also developing my mentorship program into an AI agent where somebody could go and learn to be a mentor as an adult through the mentorship program that Jesus Christ used with his disciples. So, what I'm doing, I'm combining the systems of the kingdom of God with the tools that I have in the present age. That's what I'm doing to prepare people for the future that's coming. No, I'm not letting the AI dictate how it's done. I'm using it constructively, but I'm let the Spirit of God guide me in what is supposed to be in that program, how it's supposed to be done. Why? Knowledge, understanding, wisdom. How do I apply it correctly? So, visionary leadership needs to be able to see the future, and visionary leadership must be able to apply the right tools at the right time in the right way to get that desired future, to reach and achieve that desired future. The kingdom of God is present. How do we apply it today differently from how Jesus applied it over 2,000 years ago, from when the disciples applied it in their days? Let's learn to do it. All right, guys? So become a visionary leader. Seek the knowledge that you need for the desired future. Understand what is needed to get you there and the wisdom to apply it. Bless you. Have fun, guys. See you next time.